In this video, we will study a very interesting master game in which you will learn a very interesting opening system for playing to win with the white pieces from the very first moves. The game began with the moves d4, knight f6. And now white played c3, which is a somewhat strange move, but very flexible. White keeps his options open and his plan is to strengthen the defense of the d4 pawn to establish a strong hold in the center. His development plan is to continue with moves like bishop f4 or bishop g5, to develop his queen's bishop outside the pawn chain, before making the move e3, forming the typical triangle in the center, characteristic of the London system. After the move c3, the white queen can also quickly move out to the b3 square, from where it can exert pressure on the queen side to attack in that area. Black played g6, aiming to develop his king's bishop via fianchetto. White played bishop g5, developing his queen's bishop, before making the move e3, so that his bishop could remain active outside the pawn chain. Black played bishop g7, developing his king's bishop and strengthening the defense of his knight to prevent his pawns from being doubled should white decide to capture on f6. At the same time, black was ready to castle. White played knight d2, developing his queen's knight and taking control of the e4 square. Black castled. White played e3, strengthening the defense of the d4 pawn and allowing the development of the king's bishop. White doesn't want to occupy the center with his pawns and is content to establish a strong hold on d4, which will allow him to attack confidently on the kingside. Black played d6, playing in the style of the king's Indian defense. Black takes control of the e5 square and prepares to break in the center with moves like e5 or c5. White played the d3 bishop, developing his king's bishop. White's plan is to continue with moves like the e2 knight, to complete the development of his minor pieces, and then he can attack on the kingside by advancing with f4 and breaking with f5. Black played b6, with the idea of developing his queen's bishop to the b7 square, where it will be very well positioned, as it will occupy the long light square diagonal and put pressure on the g2 pawn. White played the e2 knight, completing the development of his minor pieces and preparing to castle. Black played bishop b7, completing the development of his minor pieces and attacking the g2 pawn. White castled. Black played c5, attacking the opponent's pawn center. But the d4 pawn is firmly held and very difficult to break through white's strong central structure. White played a4, gaining space on the queenside and threatening to follow up with a5, to create problems on this flank. Black played knight c6, completing the development of his minor pieces and taking control of the a5 square to prevent white's pawn from advancing further. White played f4, beginning to advance his kingside pawns. One of the advantages of developing the bishop to the g5 square instead of the f4 square is that it allows the f-pawn to advance, an important element in white's attack. White's idea is to prepare for the f5 pawn break, to open lines and attack the black king. Furthermore, this break is even more effective when the c8 bishop has developed to the b7 square, since it no longer controls the f5 square. Now, black's best option would probably be the move knight to d5, attacking the weak e3 pawn. White can play rook to f3, activating the rook and defending the e3 pawn. After, for example, c takes d4. E takes d4. Black can play f6 to push back the opposing bishop. After bishop h4, black can play e6 and has a good defensive position. White maintains some pressure and can prepare a kingside attack, but black has good defensive resources. In the game, after the move f4, black played queen c8, intending to strengthen control over the f5 square. At the same time, black wants to activate his bishop on the a6 square. But this move is actually a mistake. White played f5, initiating the attack on the kingside, intending to open lines on that flank and attack the black king. Black played bishop a6, reactivating the bishop and threatening to capture white's bishop on d3. Now, the best move for white was bishop takes a6, exchanging bishops, with the idea of moving the black queen away from the kingside. After queen takes a6, the black queen is displaced from the game and white can attack unhindered on the kingside. White can play knight f4, bringing the knight closer to the kingside, to put pressure on the opponent's castling. White has very good attacking chances. For example, if g takes f5, white can play bishop takes f6. After bishop takes f6, white can play queen h5, incorporating the queen into the kingside attack. After, for example, e6, to defend the f5 pawn. White can play rook f3, incorporating the rook into the attack via the third rank. White is winning. In the game, after the move bishop a6, white played queen b1, defending his bishop on d3. Black played d5, aiming to increase his control over the central squares. Now, the move bishop b5, attacking the opponent's knight, was very good. After, for example, knight a5, white can play knight f4 as in the game, but with the advantage of having moved the black knight away, forcing it to move to the edge of the board, away from the kingside. In the game, after the move d5, white directly played knight f4, incorporating the knight into the kingside attack. Black played bishop takes d3, exchanging a couple of minor pieces, aiming to simplify the position and make the defense easier. White played queen takes d3. Black played rook d8 to strengthen the defense of the d5 pawn, which was threatened. White played bishop takes f6, eliminating an important defender of the opponent's castling position. Now, the correct capture for black was e takes f6, recapturing with the pawn, to try to strengthen his castling. For example, it would not be possible to try to sacrifice the knight with f takes g6, since after h takes g6. If white plays knight takes g6, black plays f takes g6 and after the queen takes g6. Black can play knight e7, forcing the white queen to retreat. Thus, black repels the attack and can assert his material advantage. After e takes f6, white can play rook f3, with the aim of exerting positional pressure. And, although white has good attacking options, black has good defensive resources. In the game, after the move bishop takes f6, black played bishop takes f6, capturing with the bishop. But this move is a mistake. White played f takes g6, with the aim of opening lines and destroying the enemy's castling. Black played h takes g6. White played knight takes g6, sacrificing the knight to completely destroy the black king's defenses. After f takes g6. White played queen takes g6, check. The game continued king f8. White responded knight f3, and black resigned. The black king cannot move, and white threatens knight g5, which would lead to mate. Black is completely defenseless and unable to prevent this plan. For example, in the case of queen e6, trying to bring the queen closer to the kingside defense. White plays knight g5, creating serious threats. It is useless to play queen takes e3, check, since white plays king h1. And queen takes g5 is not possible, because white plays queen takes g5 and wins, since black cannot capture the white queen with the bishop because the bishop is pinned. And if, after the move knight g5, black attempts the move queen g8. White can play knight h7, check. The black king cannot move, and black must surrender his queen. After queen takes h7. White plays queen takes h7, and easily wins the game. A very instructive game. Now that you have learned a very simple system for fighting for the win, there is one more video you should watch, but hardly anyone will tell you about it. Click on the following video to complete your training. See you in the next video.